Dear followers of Jesus, I want to share with you interesting facts about the following Bible verse. 2 Corinthians 3, verse 17. It reads as follows, "Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom." The Bible is a book that contains many verses that have been interpreted in various by scholars, theologians, and believers throughout the ages. One verse that has been a source of much discussion and reflection is found in the book of Corinthians, where it states, "Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is there is freedom." This verse has been understood in many different ways, but one common is that it speaks to the idea that where the presence of God is felt, there is also a sense of liberation and liberation from the bondage of sin, guilt, and shame. The Spirit of the Lord is seen as a force that brings about freedom in our lives, freeing us from the burdens and chains that hold us back from living a full and abundant life. Freedom in this context does not necessarily mean freedom from physical constraints or societal limitations, but rather a freedom of the soul and spirit. It is a freedom that comes from knowing and experiencing the love, grace, and forgiveness of God. This freedom allows us to live in a way that is aligned with God's will and purpose for our lives, free from the bondage of sin and shame. The presence of the Spirit of the Lord brings about a sense of peace, joy, and contentment in our lives. It empowers us to overcome the struggles and challenges we face, knowing that we are not alone and that God is with us every step of the way. This freedom also gives us the courage and strength to live boldly and authentically, knowing that we are loved and accepted by God just as we are. In a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain, the promise of freedom in the presence of the Spirit of the Lord offers a sense of hope and reassurance. It reminds us that we are not bound by our past mistakes or failures, but rather given a new beginning and a fresh start in the grace of God. Ultimately, the verse, "Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom," speaks to the transformative power of God's love in our lives. It reminds us that no matter what challenges we face, we can find freedom and liberation in the presence of the Spirit of the Lord. As we embrace this truth and allow God's Spirit to work in our lives, we can experience true freedom and live in the fullness of God's grace. Thank you, Father, for explaining this verse to us. For me, this is one of my favorite verses in the Bible,